Hey, what's going on, man? It's Cool Water here again with another episode of the podcast. Uh, I just happened to stumble up on something, man, that I thought was a pretty good video. Being Rich versus Being Wealthy by Gary Vaynerchuk and this black bodybuilder named Mike Rashid. I was going through the video, watching the video, and Gary Vaynerchuk is like the hip hop gangster white dude for business, social media guru, wine connoisseur guru. He just unadulterated, and I think that's why a lot of Negroes like him. A lot of niggas like him because he unadulterated and he relate to our story because his pops and his family, I guess, is like from somewhere outside of Russia, and they're immigrants, and his father came over here in the 70s or something to that effect when he was a kid and opened up a little store, like a liquor store. And then he built that up, and then Gary came along and kind of took it and then flipped it with the social media game and created the wine. I guess you could say the wine cellar type shit. I'm trying to look for the specific word. The wine, basically the wine cellar type thing, man, where he was basically taking that niche market and made it more valuable by explaining and giving people the value of wine and the wine celery is what it's called, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm looking at the video, and the video was cool. Mike Rashid, black dude, black bodybuilder, wanted to hook up, seems to have a nice large following. So as I'm watching the video, I hear Gary say, I'm about to take my company to, my company headed towards $1 billion. I'm going to be, I'm going to have $1 billion company. He at somewhere close to 100 million if he ain't at 100 million now. The purpose of this video is in relation to this book that Chris Rabb wrote called Invisible Capital. Invisible Capital is the behind the scenes, the ghost of financial wealth, financial economic uplift, the starting capital, if you will, for those individuals that came from families that may have been poor, upper middle class, or rich. And in the book, he makes a description about how some children are able to go to Capitol Hill as interns and stay longer because their family has money and they're able to sustain their internship with invisible capital. Those that don't have it don't get to make the same connections and growth opportunities and relationships as such. So Gary, who drops a lot of good game and has a lot of good knowledge and has been on TED Talks and various other large platforms, seems to be a guy who built his company up from the ground up. But again, man, this is the shit that I'm talking about when it comes to understanding the business foyer, the surveying the land. You got to look at the genealogy. His pops got his liquor store, Sasha Vaynerchuk is his name, got the liquor store up to close to, maybe $10 million a year or something to that effect, $4 to $10 million a year, which is the springboard for Gary Vaynerchuk being able to catapult himself from out of obscurity, take his daddy's liquor store, turn it into a wine cellar business, social media business, and grow that company to almost $50 million. And now the company is at $100 million, and now it's headed towards $500 million as a result of Gary understanding the power of invisible capital. Because Gary didn't come over here and start off flat ass broke. You know what I'm saying? And do it in that manner. Like so many other immigrants, Asians, Arabs, East Indians, Koreans, Filipinos, you name them, they come in and they got some type of economic uplift that allows them to be able to move to a level where they can catapult themselves from obscurity into the mainstream. No different than Gary Vaynerchuk. Gary Vaynerchuk has a real connection with African Americans because his struggle was similar to our struggle. But the problem is that most of the Negroes, you know what I'm saying, don't have the same economic background when it comes to being able to rise. Now, social media has allowed a lot of people to leverage their way into some sort of success. So Mike Rashid, who has grown his weightlifting empire into a social media empire, clothing line, sports, what you call it, supplement products and so forth, has been able to grow to that extent as a result of getting a following online. I bet you if you do the genealogy on him, naturally he come from a middle class to lower middle class to poverty economic background, and his mom and daddy didn't have the money to, catapult. But the internet has allowed a lot of us to be able to touch folks we couldn't touch. But as I watched the interview, I noticed, man, it seemed, and this is really my point. It seems as if I get to, you got people you admire. Don't get me wrong. Gary Vaynerchuk is cool. He a cool dude. He seemed like he cool. But again, these black dudes, man, they always seem to come to with a subservient mindset when they dealing with the white boy. They come with the a woe is me mentality. You ain't holding your head up when you talking to that man. Mike holding his head down and talking to the table, man, and feeling somewhat inferior because he's, with Gary. Gary's sitting out there with 10, 15, 20 employees working on Vaynerchuk Media. You understand what I'm saying? It's that type of thing. And it's the invisible capital that has allowed a lot of these white dudes and the white dudes, which goes across the board, and Asians, immigrants alike, to be able to grow huge businesses. It's just like Mark Cuban. Mark Cuban will give you the illusion that he started broke, poverty, impoverished, and rose. He come from an upper middle class background. These people's had money. They might have been practical. He might have went to a university, man, where he didn't pay a bunch of bread because he was practical. His people's was practical. But he was able to go out into the terrain and make good and be able to, as Claude Anderson say, come up with a scheme and stick with it. Because it's 85% of what white folk need is in their community. It's in their church. It's in their business. They can go to the schools and get what they need. They can call their friends. They can go get a loan. Whatever they need is in their community. They got it. The African American don't have that. The African American don't have that. So when you look and you see the economic impact of somebody like a Gary Vaynerchuk, who is rose and now headed towards, as he said, my company gonna be worth $1 billion. Well, you got to look at the genealogy. It's the invisible capital. See, his daddy's liquor store was the catapulting initiator that gave him the leg up. His pops had a couple pennies by the time he reached a certain age where he started to go out and become his entrepreneurial king. So he can make mistakes and fall on his ass, and daddy could kick him up, dust him off, throw him a couple of dollars, go out there and try something else, make mistakes, come back again. And then he finally found something that worked for him, and he turned it into a business, and he grew the business, and he grew the business. And then he also had the business acronym, the business knowledge, the business understanding from, like he say, I grow companies. I build businesses. Okay. It's a lot of black brothers out here that will say the same thing, but they ain't as successful as Gary Vaynerchuk. So The invisible capital, man, is what you have to look at. And I'm speaking to folks, man, that are African American descent or other individuals, man, from other ethnicities that might be hitting rock bottom and ain't seeing the bigger picture. Just like one of my partners threw me the billionaire boys from Dubai. You know, the dude running around and you know, he is you know, looking rich and looking lavish. But you got to do the genealogy. Well, who was his daddy? How much money did his daddy have? Because the way that they giving off this game is as if they just woke up one morning, man, rolls up out the dirt, dusted themselves off, and went out and built a multi-million-dollar company, $100 million company, $1 billion company with no access to capital from nobody but the bank. When a lot of it, man, was passed down, inherited wealth that has been passed down. That's the deciding factor. That's the invisible capital. That's what you don't see. It's what you don't see that determines your success. I don't come from money. My mama was on welfare. My daddy wasn't around. He went to college and got a degree and did what he did, but I'm from the ground up. I ain't got nobody to go tap into to get no bread. I don't have invisible capital. I can't go to Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C. and do an intern and stay for 6 months because there is no finance to finance my living expenses. That's what invisible capital is. That's what it does. That's what the book Chris Rabb had wrote about. So for me, it's important that you all take a very serious, hard look at the genealogy, man, and get out of the rhetoric. The rhetoric is cool. It has its place, but get out of the rhetoric. If you ain't getting adopted by the dominant society, it's going to be harder for you to grow, build, and blow up and hit your $1 million marks because you got to get co-signed by the other cultures to really rise. You may come off and start making a couple pennies, but at the end of the day, to really sustain and be, sustainable and make the 10s, the 20s, the 30s, the $40 million, man, some of these other corporations and dominant cultures, they got to give you the green light and co-sign on you so because they adopted you into their thing. That's just like Eric E.T. Thomas. He come from nothing. He rolls, he grind. He was able to hit a couple of spots. His voice carried him over. YouTube video took him on over to the top. Then white folks started noticing he had a talent that they could use. They put him on. They brought him in. They dusted him off. He started getting the game. He started understanding his position. Then he started asking for bigger chips, $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 a speak, retainer, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 retainer. Blase skipping the third. Now he inside the circle. He inside the circle. So he ain't got to worry about going flat broke no more because they're going to always have a need for him. But if you outside of the circle, it's going to be hard. It's going to be tough because you ain't got the backing. You take a Umar Johnson. He got black folks support, but he also got black folks not supporting him. But the amount of money that he need to make a move, he ain't getting that support because he outside of the culture. Whereas he could have been had $2 million ain't no money. Could have been had $2 million if he was cross cultured and was crossing over to pop culture. He would have been had $2 to $5, $7, $10 million. White folk would have loved him. They would have gave him the paper. You know what I'm saying? He would have been got his money. School would have been in bill as long as they could tap into it and they can dictate the outcome. Well, he cutting them out, so it's taking him longer. You see, so I just want y'all to take a serious, hard look at what the word invisible capital means. I want you to also get out of the fact of letting people hit you with the rhetoric, feeding you the hype, selling you the American dream, because you're going to have to create your own American dream. You're going to have to create your own pathway to success. These folks just selling y'all a hill of beans, man, because they doing is giving you a broad view. Ask Gary Vaynerchuk to show you, the books he got, they cool. I done read a couple of them. But take me behind the scenes Take me behind the scenes, man. Let me get that business plan. Let me holler at your investors. Let me holler at the people that you talk to, man, in the boardroom, in the meetings and shit when the camera ain't on. Them dudes, you see, that's helped take this company to another level. Now, he may not have no investors, but I doubt it. He probably got one. He might have had two. Depends on which company, because I'm seeing he got sports. He has the media platform now. He has the wine and, maybe the social media. So this ain't no diss on Gary, because I like the game he's spitting, but I'm not into the rhetoric no more. I'm not into I'm into the strategies and I'm into the execution. You feel me? That's what I'm on. And when I look at videos now, from Tony Robbins to Jim Rohn to all of the hype guys, the cheerleaders, what's that other brother name, man? The black dude, the motivational speaker, Les Brown, all of them dudes. I'm looking at the process on how you got there. And I would advise you to do the same. Start studying the genealogy of the people, man. Start looking at how they got to where they are, because it ain't just, I went out and chased my dream and then I finally got it. It's more to it than that. I'm Cool Water. Check me out. ishiphopdead.com. ishiphopdead.com for the blog. Look for me on the podcast. Look for me on social media, Cool Water 101. And anywhere else you might find me on the net. Hey, man, y'all stay peace. Y'all stay blessed. Peace, holla. And to the next time.